is where we left halfway. He continues to say that even though killing, you will not incur sin. Even though killing, you don't incur sin. Meaning, sin and wrong action. This is the definition. The sin and the wrong action are defined by the internal result of the action rather than the action itself. One is the external result of an action, another is the internal result of an action. Sin is defined by the internal result. There is an external result, there is an internal result. As far as the external result is concerned, a wise man remains unaffected. What are the external results of an action? A physical benefit, an emotional benefit, an intellectual benefit. These are the external results of an action. And then there is an internal result. Sin is defined in relation to the internal result. What makes an action sinful is not the action, but the internal result that the action leaves in you. What is the internal result that most of the action leaves in you? An impression. An impression. And that impression is what is known as vasanas. These, by wrong way of action, you are left with some internal impressions. And these impressions are known as vasanas. And these vasanas by nature is sinful. Vasanas by nature is sinful because as a human being, you ought to act in a way that your existing vasanas get exhausted. You don't act and gather more and more vasanas. So these vasanas are called sin. The internal result of an action. Now comes the difficulty in life. No one is aware of this internal result. We are so focused on the external result. It is the external result that is so engrossing. It is the external result that is so inspiring. It is the external result that is so motivating. Internal result is of first of all, no one even realizes there is a thing called internal result. That's where he makes in the context of Karma Yoga, he makes the segregation. Treating alike pleasure and pain, gain and loss, victory and defeat, these pairs are the external results of an action. These pairs are the external results of an action. A wise one remains unaffected by that. It's not that he doesn't understand the difference between profit and loss. It's not that he doesn't understand the difference between pleasure and pain, victory and defeat. He understands and yet he remains unaffected. That portion of unaffected state is because he is taking care that the action doesn't leave an internal result. The moment we say it is internal result, the moment he calls it as an internal result, what it implies is it's hidden. It's hidden, it's deep. You can't see it directly. The physical result can be seen directly. The emotional result can be seen directly. The intellectual result can be seen. But the internal result, which is what is known as gathering more and more impressions, vasanas, that is not seen. Arjuna, by you acting in such a way that you will gather vasanas is sinful. Arjuna's argument is killing is sinful. The human being's argument is some actions are sinful, some actions are not sinful. We have the segregation of actions being called as good and bad. Carefully follow. This is not a license to do. This is not a license. Those who have misunderstood this, carefully follow. In knowledge, don't be selective. Either you take the whole knowledge or leave it. Don't take it in. Don't take selectively. If you take it selectively, you will use this and say, oh, anyway, it's only the action doesn't matter. No, sir. Therefore, I will lie, I will cheat, I will do this, I will do that, thinking that you are so objective, thinking that you are doing only for a higher purpose. Don't cheat yourself. Either you take the knowledge fully or story மாதிரி கேட்டுட்டு விட்டுருங்க. It's okay. But then if you take it in parts, selectively, you get into a deeper problem. That's where the Vedantic knowledge taken in parts is more dangerous. What is the danger? You will know how to justify your selfishness. You can use the knowledge and justify your indulgences. You can use the knowledge. Now, you can do it. You can throw dust in the eyes of others. You believe that you are safe. But then, what is the proof? Agitations are the proof. Agitations are the proof. If you are agitated, it means you are committing a sin. If you are agitated, you are committing a sin. Agitations is because of the environment, world not giving what you want. That's all. Agitations is nothing but you want something, the world doesn't cater, the world doesn't give you that, you get agitated. You might feel justified in asking. You might feel that you are perfect in, you have all the legitimate rights to demand, ask, beg, whatever it is. The law of life is, world accommodates everyone, but can't cater to anyone in particular. This is the law. World can accommodate everyone, but cannot cater to anyone in particular. Agitation is when you want yourself to be catered in particular. That is the sin. That is the agitations. Therefore, what do? You will start looking for environment that will cater to your likes and dislikes. You will start looking for human beings that will cater to your likes and dislikes. You will start looking for objects and beings also that will cater to your needs. Selectively you can take the knowledge and you can justify it also. Selectively you will take the knowledge and you can feel completely justified also. A very, very deep philosophical concept. Sin is not in the action, it is in the reaction. It is in the internal result. It is in the internal result. What is the internal result? Vasanas. Vasanas goes on increasing. Vasanas goes on increasing. More the vasanas, more the agitations. More the vasanas, more the agitations. Agitations is because desire demands fulfillment from the world, and world is not designed to cater to you. At some point of time, carefully see, this is the history of every human being's life. At some point of time in everyone's life, everything will be so conducive. Everything will be conducive. At that point of time, the human being will waste it in indulgence. He will waste that opportunity in indulgence. happens? The opportunity is lost. Later on he sits and cries. Why nothing is going in my way? Why nothing is happening in the way that I seek or that I want? He has this complaint. Vasanas are increasing. But anyway, it is not sin, no sir. Let it go on increasing. No, what is the problem? What is the difficulty? Desires by nature, vasanas by nature, tear you apart in opposite directions. That's how every human being brings self-destruction. The vasanas by nature tear you apart in opposite directions because desires by nature are contradictory, conflicting. What is the conflicting desire? I will be selfish and self-centered and I want the world to love me. That's the conflict. On one hand, I am this. On the other hand, I want something else. You follow what I am saying? On the contrary, the right action. On the contrary, the right action. The right action is actions done for the sake of self-realization is the right action. Actions done for the sake of eradicating your ego is the right action. Actions done for the sake of eradicating your selfishness is right action. You act in a way that the goal, the purpose of action is the reduction of the desires, the reduction of the ego, eliminating the selfishness. As a result of which you are working for the goal of self-realization. But the goal of self-realization is very not practical, not inspiring. But we should do that which will inspire, no sir. No child is ever inspired to go to school. You can't wait for the child to get inspired, understand the importance, and then guide the child to school. You can do that. That is also one way of doing. You can do that. But when will the child understand the importance? When will the child understand the importance? 60th birthday, it will understand the importance of education. By the time it learns, that learning is too late. Not only it's too late, that knowledge makes you cynical. That knowledge makes you a pessimist. That knowledge will make you critical. Because he has learnt it. He has learnt it at the wrong time. Knowledge has to be learnt at the right time. He learnt it at the wrong time. You learn it at the wrong time, that knowledge becomes redundant. The knowledge becomes not useful at all to you. Therefore, what is the right action? The right action is actions done for the sake of self-realization. But the goal of self-realization is too high. I don't understand. Whether you understand or you don't understand, start doing. Somewhere down the line alone you can understand. the classic dilemma of life is this. Does doing come first or understanding come first? What comes first? Is doing come first or understanding comes first? It's the doing. It's always the starting point is the doing. You can wait for understanding, but then understanding comes so late that when none of your equipments are cooperating, none of your equipments are cooperating, that's the time the man comes and says, how can I achieve self-realization? The question is correct, but timing is completely wrong. Therefore, it is the doing. What is the doing? Karma yoga. That's why the advice given is start doing karma yoga. It will be painful, it will pinch, it will be frustrating. Doesn't matter. Simply do it. Because that doing creates a conducive atmosphere for knowledge to get absorbed. Otherwise, you hear more and more knowledge, you hear more and more information, you read more and more textbook, you will become intelligent. But no, the knowledge will not sink into you. The knowledge will not transform you. Knowledge will not be available when you need it the most. That's the tragedy. The knowledge that a human being must have must be available to him when he needs it the most. When selfishness comes up, when agitations comes up, when ego comes up, the knowledge must be available to combat that. Knowledge is not available at that point of time. Selfishness is completely entertained, the ego is fully developed, and then knowledge comes much later. That knowledge is actually it's not knowledge. For all practical purposes, it's not knowledge. It is just it's not knowledge. It is when you are in pain, what do you do when you are in pain? When you are in pain, what do you do? Medicine will come on. When you are in pain, what will you do? You start talking which you don't understand. You start talking things that which you don't understand. We have the knowledge of philosophy which we don't understand. What is the knowledge that we don't understand? What does it mean? Life will be like this only, sir. What is the problem? Always it will not cater to you. As you are saying that, you don't understand what you are saying, because in you have a deeper, in you have a conflicting, in you have a conflicting understanding. What is the conflicting understanding? It should cater to me. Correct. It will not cater to every one of you. That you must understand. But it should cater to me. Why me? Because of course I am a holy man. Of course I am a great man. Of course I am a sacrificial man. Therefore, it has to cater to me. That's where you say something and you don't know the meaning of what you are saying. Krishna says, don't get into this state of wrong understanding. Start doing. Do what? Do Do Karma Yoga. What is Karma Yoga? Preparing to get into action indifferent to the fruit. That is Karma Yoga. Getting into inspired way of acting, not just action. Getting into an inspired way of acting, completely indifferent to the result. That's all Karma Yoga is. Opposite of Karma Yoga is actions driven only for the sake of the fruit. Only for the sake of the fruit. What is the fruit? That's the three pairs of opposites he is giving. Profit and loss, pleasure and pain, victory and defeat. Profit and loss is the material pair of an action. Pleasure and pain is the emotional part of an action. Victory and defeat is the intellectual aspect of it. Some result I want. Either I want profit or loss. I want profit or doesn't matter. Whatever, even if you insult, even if I get insulted, even if I get thrown, nothing. I want profit. The material result. Other way of acting is the emotional. Profit and loss, but I should be respected. No, I should be welcomed. I don't like to get insulted. Emotional thing or intellectual. What is intellectual? Victory or defeat. What is victory? You have a plan, and if you get it, it is really what the satisfaction you get when your plans work. That is at the level of the intellect. What a pain when your plans don't. When all your plans go wrong. Victory and defeat at the level of the victory and defeat is at the level of the intellect. What is intellect? That which thinks, that which plans. So it has a plan, it has a thinking in order to reach that. That goal. The very fact that you have planned, the very fact that you think you have did the work, there is a deep hidden expectation that it should happen in the way that you have planned. The best laid plans of men and mice gang oft ugly, he says. The best laid plans of men and mice gang oft ugly. Gang oft ugly means one event, one situation can make sure that all your plans are completely shattered. So you counter defeat there. You feel that you counter defeat there. When it goes according to your way, you counter a victory. That is the intellectual result of an action. The emotional result of an action is pleasure and pain. I do it because it's so nice to do it. I talk because it's so nice to talk. That is not the reason. My pleasure or pain is not the reason to do the action. Emotional result. Profit and loss is the material result. What is Karma Yoga? Attitude of indifference to these results. Karma Yoga is nothing but an attitude of indifferent to these results. What are the results? Whatever be the physical, emotional, intellectual. Start doing it, he says. Don't wait for understanding to dawn. Simply start doing it. Just karma yoga alone is not enough. You are doing basic study and reflection. That's why you are coming for a class like this. So that itself shows that the one pedal is there. The other pedal is missing. What is the other pedal? Karma yoga. So these two combined takes away all your agitations. When he says it takes away all your agitations, means all your vasanas are eliminated. That's what he means when he says all your sins are gone. Because it is the vasana that produces agitation. What is the vasana? Unmanifest desire. When vasana is manifest, it turns into a desire. What is the desire? Desire is nothing but a hope for happiness. Desire is nothing but a hope for happiness. The very hope for happiness itself is a proof that you are not happy now. Karma yoga is the technique saying actions arising out of happiness and contentment. That is karma yoga. But all the time you act out of unhappiness, discontentment. You follow? What is desire? Again I repeat, desire is nothing but a hope for happiness. The hope for happiness means if I get that, I will be happy. That's all desire is. To put it in a very, very common sense way, what is desire? A hope for happiness. The very hope for happiness itself is the implication that as you are today, you are not happy. So all your actions, what is the starting point of action? Agitations. Actions arising out of agitation will end up in creating more agitations. That is the law of karma, cause and effect. That's why it's called karma yoga. It's the law of cause and effect. What is the cause and effect? You plant a mango seed, bitter neem fruits will not come out of it. Or you plant a bitter neem seed, mango fruits will not come out of it. If discontentment is the seed of action, what you will reap? What you will reap? You cannot reap contentment. But then the world believes, that is ignorance, but the world believes that you sow discontentment, but one day you will reap contentment. If you it's okay, the future will be happy. No, whatever the future is. Whenever the future comes, whatever the future is, you believe that you will be. Karma Yoga says exactly the opposite. Turn indifferent to the fruit. Turn indifferent to the result and get into action. See, when they say get into action, what is implied is sincerity, dedication, inspiration, enthusiasm. All this is implied here. All this is implied here. It's not just action. All that is implied. When they say get into action, what is implied here? You will do it. Dedication is implied. Sincerity is implied. Because all this need not be spelled out. Because these things are implied. Don't act from an egocentric attitude, but act indifferent to the result. What is egocentric attitude behind action? Physical result, material result, or emotional result, or an intellectual result. Krishna is preparing Arjuna to look at the battlefield as an opportunity to practice Karma Yoga. That's why he is giving so much of explanation. He's giving so much of discourses because he's preparing Arjuna to see the battlefield as an opportunity. What is the opportunity? The opportunity to serve the higher cause. The opportunity to practice Karma Yoga. If you cannot practice Karma Yoga in your area of expertise, in your field, what makes you to think that you can do it in some other area? You want to follow? See, that is your area of expertise. That's where you are strong. If you can't bring in the activity of Karma Yoga in that field, what makes you to believe that you can do it elsewhere? Foolish Arjuna. This is your field of activity. And this field of activity, you have got a golden opportunity. Rarely people's activity and their nature matches. Rarely that match happens. Even when it matches, there is a the righteous cause doesn't come. In your case, Arjuna, everything has come in. It's your field of activity, an opportunity, and also it's a righteous cause. All along you have been fighting for a selfish. All along you have been fighting for what? For a selfish cause, for a selfish reason. Now that you have a chance, when the chance for selfishness comes, you grab it, Arjuna. When a chance to practice selflessness comes, you use all your wisdom to say, "Oh, I will not do it." All along there have been opportunities for you to be selfish and self-centered. How quickly you, that's what idella implied. He's not saying all this. Idella summa I'm adding masala or something. All along all along you have been acting. But then the selfishness in you grabbed that opportunity. Here you have to fight for a righteous cause. Here you have to fight for a righteous cause. Here you have to fight for a higher purpose. When that purpose comes, what are you doing? Selectively using portions from knowledge that you have by-hearted in the past, using that as an excuse and saying what? We will incur sin. Arjuna, if you don't kill today, you will incur sin. By running away from killing only, you will incur sin. You will not incur sin by killing. See, these are all just 2-3 words that any time in distress, any time in difficulty, any time in confusion, just these words is enough to lift you up. Even though killing, you will not incur sin. What amount of knowledge that man must have to make this statement again and again and again. In verse number 33 only he said, even though killing you will not incur sin. Again he is saying the same thing, even though killing you will not incur sin. But then we always believe that what? Killing is sinful, sir. How is killing the... Krishna can say it, but even if Krishna says killing is sinful, sin is not in the action, it is in the internal result. What is the internal result of an action? Is your vasanas increasing or your vasanas decreasing? How do you know that your vasanas are increasing or decreasing? Your agitations is the proof. Your agitations is the proof. What is agitations? When you are agitated, you cannot concentrate. You stop. Where you cannot concentrate, know that you have not evolved at all. That's why agitation is given as the, see, agitation means not the stress. There are two things. One is, whenever we say you will not be agitated, you will not be agitated means it's not there is one kind of agitation that we know, which comes out of unfulfillment of a desire. Not that agitation that he is talking about. What is agitation? You will not be agitated. What does it imply? A man, a human being who is not agitated can concentrate. Concentrate means what? Tell the mind to stay in a place, it will stay. That's how spiritual evolution is all about. Tell the mind to stay in a place, it will stay. It doesn't matter where it is. Yoga Rova, it can be in the field of yoga, it can be in the field of yoga, it doesn't matter. You tell the mind to stay there, it stays there. Today is exactly the opposite. You tell the mind to stay in one place, it will go to all other places except that. Except that it will go to all other places. The only area where the mind sticks to, the only area where the mind stay put is when it is fantasizing. Only when it is fantasizing, it stay put. You consciously say, stay here, it will not stay. It means what? Agitated mind cannot concentrate. So work backwards. If you cannot concentrate, it means you are agitated. But I don't experience any agitation, sir. Don't get carried away, because you are using the word agitation in the sense of unfulfilled desire, not in that sense agitation. Agitation, lack of agitation, no agitation means the mind stays put. For the mind to stay put, you are in need of the external environment. Again I repeat, for the mind to focus today, it is the other that keeps you are kept in focus not by yourself. It's a very poor state of existence where your focus is kept by everyone else keeps your focus. Rajamouli can keep your focus for 3.5 hours, no? Bahubali 2, the conclusion. No. In a fantasy, he can see whose that much of fantasy is required if I have to stay put. In reality, the mind is not. You follow what I am saying? It means what? You are agitated. You are replete with vasanas. That's why the mind is running all over the place. What you should do? Do karma yoga. What you should do? Do karma yoga. That's why the karma yoga, in the Vedic times, they had such an importance for the yajna karma. But it is that karma that brings about, not the ritual karma, the principle. They have such a value for it because it is that takes away the desire, so that at least a minimum concentration can come. Today, there is a concentration only because of the result factor. You can focus as long as the result is the lump definitely. Then I will. You don't know whether it is going to come or not come. Simply do. That is waste of effort, sir. What is the guarantee that it will? That is waste of effort. What is the guarantee that it will Because we are all efficient people, we are all dynamic people, we want results. It is the result that is the proof. Attitude of service and sacrifice, the karma yoga, existing vasanas goes away. Also, you are not creating any new vasanas. You are moving towards self-realization. You are moving towards self-realization. Treating alike pleasure and pain, gain and loss, victory and defeat. Get ready for battle. Thus, you will not incur sin. Verse number 39.
Esha te vihita sankhye bodhe yoge te mam shrino buddha yukto yaya pata karma bandham prabhavyati Esha te vihita sankhye bodhe yoge te mam shrino buddha yukto yaya pata
This is the wisdom of Sankhya taught to you. Now listen to the wisdom of yoga, endowed with which, O Partha, you shall cast off the bond of action. This verse is the turning point from Sankhya Yoga to Buddhi Yoga. The shift from Sankhya Yoga to Buddhi Yoga. What does Sankhya Yoga means? Sequence of logical thoughts arriving at a rational conclusion. This is the Sankhya. What is Buddhi Yoga? Buddhi Yoga in this context means Karma Yoga. All along he is talking about Karma Yoga, and suddenly he is saying, this is Sankhya, now listen to Buddhi Yoga. Hey, Karma Yoga, you said, and now what is it that he is suddenly talking about? Karma Yoga, then what is it that he has been talking? All along, two distinct ways of explaining Karma Yoga. See, all along he has been explaining Karma Yoga through a logical sequence. Logical sequence and conclusion, he explained Karma Yoga. Now, he is explaining the Karma Yoga from a totally different standpoint. What is the standpoint? The standpoint of authority. He is going to explain Karma Yoga from the standpoint of authority. What is the standpoint of authority? The standpoint of authority, the authority comes when you can speak authoritatively only when you are practicing it. Are you able to follow? You can speak with authority, serve, only when you are serving. You can speak with authority on sacrifice only when you are sacrificing. All along he spoke about Karma Yoga, about the Swadharma part, the don't be agitated about the result part, Vasana part. All this is the Sankhya part. Sankhya part means the knowledge part. Now he is saying Buddhi Yoga. What is Buddhi Yoga here? Context of Karma Yoga. What does that Buddhi Yoga means? A very dynamic shift. What is the dynamic shift? Let your actions be propelled by subtle intellect rather than emotional impulses. It's a very subtle, it's a shift. All along, actions are propelled by the impulses, the gross intellect, the mind which holds the gross intellect as a hostage and uses the function of the intellect to fulfill its desire. Now he is saying the shift. What is the shift? It is the subtle intellect. The buddhi means it is the subtle intellect. Whenever the subtle intellect comes, there is an element of authority in it. There is an element of authority in it. What is the authority? The authority comes when he has lived it, practiced it, experienced it. That's when the authority comes. And when he speaks, that explanation itself will come with such a clarity. The authority itself will not be an authoritative attitude behind it, but it will be one of inspiration. It will be one of increasing your conviction. Whenever you fall, these statements, these words are those that lifts you up. There is one way of Sankhya explanation, logical, sequence of thoughts arriving at a logical conclusion. Then there is another way of doing the same thing. What is it? The direct authority. The direct authority not in the sense of a commandment. The direct authority in the way in which he explains the truth behind Karma Yoga. Authority in the sense he explains the truth behind Karma Yoga, where it was not explained, where it's not explained anywhere before. Therefore, to bring in the distinction, he says, all along Arjuna, all this is what? Sankhya Yoga. You would have heard it many a times. But listen now, I am going to talk about Karma Yoga through Buddhi Yoga. Through Sankhya I taught you. This is the wisdom of Sankhya taught to you. Taught to you means it has been there from ages. Now I am going to, now listen to the wisdom of yoga. The Sanskrit word is Buddhi Yoga. Buddhi Yoga means yoga, the action directed by the subtle intellect. If subtle intellect is not directing the action, then what is directing the action? The impulses, the mind, the desires. So the shift from the logical thought to don't think it is illogical. It's not that this is not illogical, but then what is it that is driving it? Let the subtle intellect fix it up. And when the subtle intellect fix it up, you get the true understanding of what Karma Yoga is. What is the true understanding? What is it that is very inspiring for you to practice Karma Yoga? Now listen to what I am going to say. Verse number 40.
अल्पमप्यस्य धर्मस्य कार्यते महतो भयात् देहाभिक्रमनाशोऽस्ति प्रत्यवायो न विद्यते अल्पमप्यस्य धर्मस्य कार्यते महतो भयात्.
In this, there is no loss of effort, nor is there production of contrary result. Even very little of this discipline protects one from great fear. You can actually by heart this verse. You can actually by heart this verse. In action, you always count a loss of effort. I have done, sir, but result is not coming. In Karma Yoga, there is no loss of effort. I am doing good only, sir, but bad is coming to me. Nor does it produce contrary result. The second sentence is the law of life. Swalpam, little bit of this dharma in practice, you are protected from great fear. Swalpam apyasya dharmasya trayade mahado bhayat. That will come to later. First understand the first portion of the verse. In Karma Yoga, there is no loss of effort. Loss of effort means, see, we believe action, the effort can go waste. The first misunderstanding about action is that actions it should not go waste, no? In Karma Yoga, there is no loss of effort. It never happens where your effort will go in vain. What is so difficult to motivate yourself to do this Karma Yoga? It should not go in vain, no, sir. The doubt whether it will produce the result or not. The doubt, the constant doubt. ஏதோ நீங்க சொல்றத நம்பி I am getting into it. You only have to take care. Krishna says you get into it on your own authority. I am not going to take care. First thing about action is the loss of effort. Worrying or believing that your effort can go in vain. One good thought you plant, one good deed you do, it will not go in vain. In this, avikramanashaha, no loss of effort. Effort doesn't go in vain. Nor is there a production of contrary result. What does production of contrary result means? All bad people, bad things, everything is going there. I am a good person, nothing is coming to me. Contrary result. How can it produce contrary result? Two major misunderstandings about the action. One is in relation to the effort part, another is in relation to the effect part, the fruit part. இதெல்லாம் கேட்கறதுக்கு நல்லது சார், but practical life it doesn't work, because in practical life it produces contrary result. Two arguments that from time immemorial the mind will give to prevent you from doing Karma Yoga. Here he says both will not happen. What is the authority? Swalpam apyasya dharmasya trayate mahado bhaya. Little bit of this dharma you practice, Arjuna, protects one from great fear. What is the great fear? Bhaya nalle fear. What is the great fear? Every human being, wherever they are, whatever they do, they live in fear. What is the fear? The fear of tomorrow. All hoarding, all accumulation happens only because of the fear of tomorrow? What is the fear of what will happen to me or what will happen to those who are mine? How much ever you have, how much ever you do, the fear doesn't go. The fear doesn't go. What is the fear? Two things. The fear of tomorrow, the fear of losing. You fear losing your health. One man sneezing here is enough to, if someone sneezes here, he is enough to cause you fear. I don't know what happened. Immediately, because I don't know what disease he has come up with, and he has sneezed. That's why, and anyway, the air conditioned room. In the air conditioned room, all it will. You fear. You can fear losing your health. You can fear losing your wealth. You can fear losing your name. You can fear losing your near and dear. You can fear losing. But somewhere down the line, every human being lives in that fear. Language of psychology they call phobia. No? Everyone has some phobia or the. They have seen Jackie Chan, no? See, all other heroes don't do whatever comes on the scene is not done by the hero. Jackie Chan does 80-85% by himself. How many times he has broken his bones? How many times he has went to near coma stage and he has come out? So fearless he is. So fearless he is. Oh. There was a conversation with a group of children he was having. One child asked, "Oh, you are so fearless. It means you don't have any fear at all." He turned around and said, "I also have fears. I also fear. What is the fear? Everyone, what is there for you to? Yeah. Because he is jumping from the 100 feet to, he is jumping on the ground and running, getting up and running. What is it that you fear?" He says, "I have a fear. Every time I go over a bridge, a flyover, my mind tells me very powerfully that that bridge is going to break. And I hold on to the seat tightly." Another child, what happens if you are under the flyover? It will fall on me. Fear. From this, what do you understand? No one is an exemption. From this, what do you understand? Fear is inbuilt in you. Yes. No, fear is not inbuilt in you. Divinity is inbuilt in you. Yeah. Different from, the area of fear differs from person to person. There is one thing in common to fear: selfishness, sense of insecurity. Insecurity, same thing. That's why I gave this example. Jackie Chan over the flyover, under the flyover. What is that fear? Where is that fear arising from? What will happen to me? Adan already சொன்னேன். Something deeper than that. Born of imagination. Can you understand that? Fear born of Imagination. The flyover is not going to, the flyover is not going to collapse. There is no earthquake there for it to collapse. Now, fear, all fears are born of imagination. There is no reality to any fear. Little bit of the dharma you practice, Arjuna, you start living in the reality, all fears goes out. Otherwise, you live in imagination. What is the imagination? That's why I said, the fear of losing. Fear of losing. Fear of losing your health. As long as you have a body, as long as you have a physical body, that physical body is, even the most healthiest person, if he goes for an MRI and comes out, you can spot 6. Some C3 is not right. Some L3 will not be right. As long as you have a body, that body is susceptible for disease. That's where the Sanskrit word Deha is very beautiful. The Sanskrit word Deha means that which has Vyadhi in it. That's the meaning of that word. The inherent of the body is Vyadhi. What is there to? Because as long as you have a body, there will be a disease. So the fear is what? Disease must not. Fear born of imagination. The child is screaming, looking at the cockroach. Imagination. What is imagination? That cockroach will become like a giant cockroach in a split second, and it will swallow you. In the movie I saw that. You will, all fear born of. It is that fear that makes you to look for a guarantee for the fruit. It's a fear. Surely I will pass, no sir. I have proposed to that girl. Surely that girl will accept my proposal. How? One look at you, no one will accept. If someone is accepting that, that girl is blind. Hey, where is the fear? Swalpamapyasya dharmasya trayate mahato bayat. Little bit of this dharma you practice, you are protected from great fears. What is the fear? Two things. The fear of losing, the fear of tomorrow. You cling on to because of what? You cling on to because of the fear of losing. It's imagination. That clinging is out of fear. What is the fear? If you relax, they will they'll run away, yeah. Thank God. If they run away, they are saving themselves from you. As it is, they are in trouble, and you are another added trouble. Little swalpam means little bit is what you have to practice. Little bit of this dharma is what you need to practice, and you are protected from great fear. What is the fear? Two things. One is the fear of losing, another is the fear of tomorrow. And there is no reality to the fear. It is imagination. That's why we say ignorance makes you fearful, knowledge makes you courageous. Knowledge makes you courageous. What is the courage? What is the courage? The capacity to accept the reality and live it. That's courage. The capacity to accept the reality and live it. That knowledge gives you this courage. Ignorance causes fear. That's where in the analysis of fear, he said, the first cause of fear is ignorance. It is ignorance that causes fear. What is ignorance? What are you ignorant about in life? What are the ignorance? The fear of losing. The actual loss doesn't cause you that much pain. The actual loss doesn't cause you, because during the actual loss you can quickly reconcile and you will come away. I don't know whether you have observed it in your own life. What actually troubles you is the fear of losing, not the actual loss. Because the actual loss you will quickly reconcile and you will bounce. But what you cannot handle is fear. Just as the fear of death is more excruciating than dying itself. It is the fear. Fear is because of ignorance. Fear is because of selfishness. Fear is because of ignorance. Fear is because of selfishness. What is Karma Yoga? In the true sense of the term, Karma Yoga is selfless actions. Yajna Karma. That's what Karma Yoga is. Yajna Karma. Actions performed without desires. Technically speaking, actions performed with selfish and egocentric desires. Number one. Number two is actions performed with unselfish desires. The third thing is actions performed without desires. What is it that is actions performed without desires? Subtle intellect. It's the direction set by the subtle intellect. What is the direction of the subtle intellect? Always higher. Subtle intellect is that which constantly points to the higher. Karma Yoga in the purest form falls under the category of the third. What is the third? Actions performed without desires. Selfless actions. What are selfless actions? What is selfless action? Mira, close your ears. Rose gives fragrance. For what? It has no motive to give fragrance. Sun gives light. Cloud gives, Ramatirtha goes on giving example after example after example. Everything in nature does action with selflessness. Only a human being has selfishness. Here comes the difference. A human being alone can consciously practice selflessness. It is in this conscious practice of selflessness you attain moksha. All other species does it, but they are not aware, they are not conscious. Only a human being can perform perform action with the same attitude consciously. And it is this conscious doing that brings moksha. What is the conscious doing? Consciously practicing selflessness. What is consciously practicing selflessness? This is my field of activity. I stick to my field of activity, unconcerned about the results. Otherwise, Karma Yoga doesn't mean doing social service. Karma Yoga doesn't mean going and starting something. No. Karma Yoga is that which ought to be practiced in your field of activity. So the field of activity is set, bringing the right attitude. Karma Yoga means bringing in the right attitude to your field of action. What will be your field of action? What is the right attitude? Selflessness. What is selflessness? Like he said, actions without prefixes and suffixes. No prefix, no suffix. No axe to grind. No prefix, no suffix, no axe to grind. Simply doing that which ought to be done. A karma yogi commands enormous power and derives supreme happiness. A karma yogi derives supreme happiness because of this way of acting. What is that way of acting? Selflessly. What does selflessness mean? Actions without desires. It's a poetic way of explanation because the chronology of actions is all actions will be preceded by a desire. If there is no desire, no action is possible. Then what is selfless action? The right attitude that you bring into action. That's why he says, spiritual evolution is a shift of attitude, not shifting the field of activity. Spiritual development, spiritual evolution is nothing but a shift of attitude, not shifting the field of activity. It is a shift of attitude. What is the shift of attitude? From selfish to unselfish. Unselfish to selfless. Arjuna is a comparatively unselfish person. That's why he is telling him, come to selfless, because relatively Arjuna is an unselfish person. That's why he is having all these doubts. Should I fight? Should I not fight? What should I do? Now Duryodhana is not having any doubts. He is saying fighting is the fight and kill and get the kingdom. That's it. Don't worry about anything. Arjuna is relatively unselfish. So to that unselfish man, he is saying, you are stuck here. That's why you are going through these agitations. What is Karma Yoga in the true sense? Come up to the level of selflessness. What is selflessness? Doing that which you ought to do. No prefix, no suffix, no axe to grind. What is implied here? Sincerity, dedication that is implied here. Because a spiritual practitioner will not do any half-hearted work, will not come from him. Anything he does comes with that. And what is the sincerity? What is the Karma Yoga? Like the bee stings, he says. Act like the bee stings. In that sting, it dies. The bee stings. In that act of stinging, it dies. Ramatirtha says, Karma Yoga must be like the bee stings. What dies? What dies? The ignorance dies. What dies? The ego dies. It's the death of the ego, the death of the ignorance. Opposite of that is selfish actions performed with egocentric desires. Either for your own self or you can accommodate a group. but both have an element of selfishness in it. That's why it's called unselfish. It's not no selfishness. It is unselfish. Unselfish means selfishness is still there. Selfless means zero selfishness. A wise man lives this life of selflessness. As a spiritual practitioner, as a part of sadhana, how can you practice selflessness? When subtle intellect directs your action for the goal of self-realization, in effect you are practicing selflessness. Able to follow? Because self-realization is not a desire. Self-realization, God-realization is not a state of attainment. It's not a state of achievement. What is self-realization? Simply recognizing who you are. You are that already. What is self-realization? Desire implies attainment. Desire implies achievement. That's why self-realization is not an attainment. It's not an achievement. It's a simple recognition of remembering who you are. Therefore, when your actions are directed by the subtle intellect, and what is the direction of the subtle intellect? Self-realization, God-realization. When it is directed to self-realization, God-realization, even here you are practicing. Even here you are practicing selflessness. If you want moksha, if you want liberation, practice selflessness. All fears will go. If not, how much ever you do, whatsoever you have, what will not go out? What will not go out? Fear will not leave you. For fear is born of imagination. Fear is born of imagination. Disease is the reality. What is there to fear that? Old age is the reality. What is there to fear that? The soft to smooth skin will get wrinkled also. What is there to? Oh, no. Somehow I have to keep it tighter. Fear. The fear of? All fears are born of imagination. That's why whatsoever solution is given, your fear remains the same. Because fear is born of, and what will make you to stop imagination? When can you stop imagination? You can stop imagination only when you start living in the reality. What is the reality? Work for the sake of self-realization. That's the only reality. What is the fear? The stress of life. How far you have moved away from reality. That gap determines your intensity of stress. The intensity of fear is determined by what? How far you have moved away from the reality. Everyone lives in fear because for all practical purposes, everyone has moved away far from the reality. Nehavikramanashosti pratyavayo na vidyate. Svalpamapyasya dharmasya trayate mahato bhayat. What are you complaining, Arjuna? Little bit of this dharma, if you have practiced, you will not come and talk all this. The very fact that you are talking all this means you have not practiced. Don't keep talking. Start practicing. That's the shift from the Samkhya Yoga to Buddhi Yoga. What is the Buddhi Yoga? The subtle intellect directing the action. On his authority, he is telling, on his authority, he is also saying what? What will happen if you practice this? What will happen? All fears goes away. Fears are born of imagination. Imagination is the product of ignorance. Imagination is the product of ignorance. Get rid of your ignorance. How to get rid of your ignorance? Start doing something. What do you have to do? What do you have to do? What do you have to do? Karma Yoga. What is Karma Yoga? Actions dedicated to the higher goal. Actions dedicated to the goal of self-realization. சரியா?